evening. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for joining me on another edition of Technology Access Television. Well, today we're going green again. You know, we've been talking about green and sustainable for the last couple of years, and there's so many wonderful, exciting developments in this area. And now we're about to witness an international organization bringing a global green meetings conference to Chicago. The Green Meetings International Conference will be coming to Chicago in just a few weeks. And I have a guest here today who's going to tell us the importance of this conference and how it ties into this whole sustainable and green conversation. I'm so excited that this conference is coming to Chicago because it's coming right to the heart of the Bronzeville community. Yes, McCormick Place is in Bronzeville, and we're so excited about that as an anchor institution. They do so many wonderful conferences, and oftentimes people come in and they participate in the conference and they fly right back out. Well, that's not the case with this conference. This conference is going to come in, be a part of McCormick Place, but also be a part of the wonderful Bronzeville community. They're going to have a wonderful set of experiences. But look, let me get somebody who really knows about this to share how this important conference got started, how it's so important to be coming to Chicago, to tell us what's going on with this. My guest today is Robin Malpass, who helped coordinate this conference, bringing it to Chicago. Robin, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Bruce. Thank you for inviting me and for your interest in the conference. The Green Meeting Industry Council is a worldwide organization. We have members in 20 different countries, and I happen to be president of the Chicago Midwest chapter.
Okay.
And so we are just thrilled that our home city is going to be the location for the 8th annual GMIC Global Conference.
And talk about the mission statement and the vision of this organization. How did it get started, and what's its real service to its membership?
Well, it's interesting because you know, green has been around for a while. It kind of was prevalent in the 90s, and then we had that little recession early on in the 90s, and everybody said, "Oh, green's kind of too expensive," and it kind of, you know, went back under the woodwork, so to speak. And then, you know, green kind of came back in a big way in you know, in the millennium, and there just weren't a lot of services, planners, suppliers that understood the importance of green meetings and what they were all about. So there were two women in Portland, actually, Nancy Zavada and Amy Spatz-Rossano. And they were just meeting and event planners like thousands of other meeting and event planners in the United States. And they had a client, the Sierra Club, who came to them and said, how can we green our meeting? You know, we're a green organization, and meetings tend to be so wasteful. Because, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You get hundreds or thousands of people together, and you create a lot of garbage, right, and a lot of waste. And so the Sierra Club really, you know, was their client and
said they wanted to do it a little different.
They wanted to make it
being
green.
the Sierra Club,
right,
and being all about this, can't we make our meetings and our annual conferences and our events more green? That's how it got started.
Yeah, so Amy and Nancy started working with them and with other organizations, I think American Express and a few other, you know, thought leaders that in the very beginning wanted to be more green, and they realized there was a need for this information and education to get out to the industry in a much broader way.
Okay.
So they formed a non-for-profit, the Green Meeting Industry Council, and this was, I think, in '06 maybe or '05. And since then, we have spread. We have chapters, like I said, in 20 countries around the world. And Chicago was formed, I believe, in 2006. We were one of the first.
Okay.
And our charge is really just to educate and provide information on how to green meetings and events and how to be more sustainable.
Have you developed a process and a toolkit where, you know, people have been in the industry forever, so they say, well, you know, I've been doing this business, but how do I go about it? What steps do I take? How do I evaluate my level of sustainability? Where can I look for controlling the outflows and the inflows of things? So do you give them tools and education on how, if they do want to go this way and their clients want to go this way, what steps they can take to implement sustainable business practices into the meeting planning project plan?
Well, that was one of the biggest challenges because, you know, lots of people said, well, I want to be green, or people would say, I am green, and they really weren't. We call that greenwashing in the industry, when you say you are and you are not. So one of the challenges was coming up with some standards that everyone could use across the board so that we would have kind of an equal playing field on what really is green.
So you established those benchmarks and those standards and those best practices.
The Convention Industry Council, which is a global organization, worked with the EPA and GMIC. They sanctioned GMIC to work with the EPA and come up with 9 different standards for green meetings and events, and they're called the APEX standards. And they started working on these, I believe, in 2008. And this year they will just now finally be completed, and
Wow.
they're just rolling out. So this is one reason why we really wanted to bring the conference to Chicago this year, because we'll be the first conference ever held for GMIC that will have an opportunity to meet these new APEX standards.
Okay, so you'll
So
be
this
actually
is the
practicing what you preach. You'll
Abs-
actually be implementing your standards for your convention.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it'll be a wonderful way to showcase.
So talk about some of the ways in which, and since you were involved in coordinating this, what are some of the things you guys thought through in terms of how to make a typical conference at McCormick Place more green? What steps did you look at?
Well, the APEX standards there's actually 9 different sectors that are involved, and it's the 9 things that you would think about that are required when you're planning a meeting. Everything from the venue, where's the meeting going to be held, and there are standards for the venue in order for it to be considered green. And APEX actually has 4 different levels that a venue can meet to be green. Everything from, their electricity, their energy usage, how they manage their waste.
And did McCormick Place cut the mustard?
McCormick Place, I believe, is going to be able to meet that APEX level 1. They're working very hard to do that right now.
Wow.
And, we're very hopeful and excited that we'll be able to say that in just a few weeks.
Well, that'll be a great announcement then, because McCormick Place is such a marvelous facility. It is state-of-the-art. Anybody that's been in the new McCormick Place, the West Wing, and it's just phenomenal. And this place is so huge. I mean, it's gigantic. So when you think about a place that big being green, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I don't want to get my facts mixed up, but I'm pretty certain when I was there the other day that I was told by one of the facility managers that they were changing out 36,000 light bulbs that to make them more energy efficient bulbs, which will reduce their overall energy usage and cost.
You have to go to LED or something like that,
absolutely.
Right?
So that's part of the venue being green. So in addition to the venue, you have things. The other standards involve food and beverage. Every meeting has food and beverage. So there's a whole set of standards about how much local food you're able to use at your meetings and events, what you do with the waste, what types of foods, how much food, if it's seafood, is it sustainable seafood, things like that. Also, hotel, if it's an overnight conference or convention, is the hotel green? And there's a whole list of standards for the hotel and accommodations. Same thing for transportation.
So you went down all of these 9 standards, applied those to your conference, and this will be a great learning experience. And then the people that are coming, you say people are coming from 20 countries to experience this. And one of the things they're going to be coming to experience when they come to the convention, not only the educational tracks and all things that normally go on, but there's going to be a sustainable Bronzeville tour. They're going to get on a bus and they're going to go off and they're going to find out what sustainability looks like around the McCormick Place community in this area called Bronzeville, and one of the stops is going to be at Illinois Institute of Technology. So that's a very exciting component. Was that something that was added to this process to say, how can we get people to see what green and sustainable looks like, not only in our conference, but in the community around the conference?
Absolutely, because Chicago, has so many green assets. I personally didn't realize how green we were until I was at a GMIC conference in another city 5 years ago.
Listed all the things going on in Chicago.
Well, I didn't. I was there with someone else from Chicago, and there was somebody from Europe, I don't remember where, Sweden, standing up front talking, and he said, well, what are some of the greenest cities in the world? Well, me and the other lady from Chicago, we put our heads down, and do you know that the Europeans in the audience started saying Chicago? And we all turned around, me and this one, we said, really, Chicago, Chicago? And they said, well, you have more green rooftops, and they knew more about how green and sustainable we were than we did, which was really sad.
Okay.
So we came back and did our homework, and we realized, wow, Chicago does have, we have a lot of green assets and a lot of things going for us. So to bring the conference here and not show that off, and showcase all those green assets would just be a shame. So one of our tours is in Bronzeville, like you said, and there's a lot of exciting things going on in Bronzeville around sustainability.
Yes, it is.
And the IIT campus is certainly one of them. Sustainability can be a real economic development tool for destinations and for municipalities and neighborhoods. And
now speak about that for a little bit, because your personal area of expertise is in helping towns and municipalities and organizations get their tourism on.
That's right.
Get their tourism act together. And this is, of course, America has not done, when you think about people that got tourism. I mean, like you talk about France, you talk about Europe, you talk about places, they have this thing down. They spend money, they have great activities, they rake in billions of dollars. And America is just now figuring out that, hey, we've got these assets like an O'Hare Airport, like a lakefront, but we're not really getting the tourism bang that we need to get, and let alone people getting out of Chicago and downstate and then Wisconsin and Indiana, Michigan, all these different places. Everybody's trying to get this together. How valuable is getting a green and sustainable strategy to the business of tourism?
Well, I personally had an experience with a destination that's just outside of Chicago. It's actually a suburb here. And it was a destination that was aging, and the neighboring destinations around it were doing very, very well. One was voted #1 city by Money Magazine, and another one was building new malls and hospitals. And this destination was kind of right in the middle and just was floundering, really.
Like the ugly duckling.
So we came in and we looked at the destination and we realized that they had a lot of sustainable underpinnings. And so we sat down with them and we said, what do you think about kind of going green? And, a lot of people are afraid to go green because of what I said earlier about the greenwashing. If you stand up and you say you're green, then everyone wants to say, well, you're not green, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right. So there's always kind of that fear. But the destination did go forward, and it ended up being a wonderful opportunity. We were able to create competitive advantage for that destination. We did a lot of research, and we found out that when consumers are given the choice over something that is socially and ecologically responsible, to purchase that over something that is not, they'll always choose the more socially responsible and ecologically responsible product or service or or experience, and it played out true in this destination. The destination ended up, we filled all 13 storefronts.
Wow.
We started advertising for green, sustainable businesses and companies to move there.
So this is like a Main Street project,
yes,
and they revitalized a Main Street area because of this focus?
They did, and the hotels came on board, and we were able to say that we could offer green meetings and event services. Their Convention and Visitors Bureau was the first in Illinois to offer a green RFP for businesses who wanted to have a green meeting there.
Okay, so you took it all the way.
We actually won the International Economic Development for Sustainable Project of the Year in 2011 for this community by creating a sustainable program that created economic development and ended up in meaning real jobs and real growth.
That's the bottom line. People are so frustrated because many times, like you say, people hear, let's go green, let's go sustainable. People say, wait, what, is this going to create some economic impact? Is somebody going to go to work because of this? And it sounds like from what you're telling me, in this case, it actually was a success.
Yes.
A Main Street with storefront and jobs being created, revenues being created, taxes being collected, real economic activity was happening around a green and sustainable business and economic strategy. That's great.
Yes.
How long did that transition take?
It was about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And it was really interesting because, after we kind of got the tourism community engaged and we got the businesses engaged and the municipality, we said, how can we get more people on board? And so we went to the businesses and we said, look, here's 15 things you can do that are more sustainable and green. If you'll just do, I believe it was 3 of them, we're going to put you in our Green by Choice program.
Okay.
And so then we were able to go out to the market and say, look, we have 65 or 80 businesses. It ended up being 80-some businesses who were all doing green things. We even got the Harley Davidson dealer to be green. I mean, he started recycling his oil and changed out the way that they, heated.
Wow.
There was some real
So people
progress.
there was buy-in, and so that was how long ago that happened?
That was, we won in 2011, and we started the project in 2009.
Okay.
So
all
about
right,
2
so here we
years.
are in 2013. How is that community doing today?
The community's doing very well. It's doing very well.
Very good. Excellent story. Well, that's so important because, again, the issue that my associate Paula Robinson at the Urban Innovation Center, Bronzeville Community Development Partnership, we talk about this a lot because it's getting that kind of knowledge. And oftentimes these kinds of knowledge conferences come to town. And these thought leaders, you've got thought leaders coming to this Green Meetings International Conference from all over the world.
Yes.
These are some of the smartest people in these practices. It would be a shame if all of this knowledge happens and then it just goes back out again. It's got to be a way of Chicago to get some benefit out of this. And so when you look at people coming, is there a good portion of people who are attending this conference from the Chicagoland area.
There are, and we could always have more. So
Okay.
one thing I was going to want to make sure that I let your audience know today is that, this conference is really for everybody. It's for the person who plans one event a year and
Okay.
wants it to be more sustainable, to the person who maybe plans 50 or 60, the person who plans the occasional wedding, to the professional
Really?
wedding planner, to the office meeting planner, to the someone who plans conferences. I mean, we have educational tracks for all levels.
Wow.
So if
Okay.
you're just getting started, or you just want to learn more, or if you're an expert, you should plan to attend.
And to dispel that myth, again, most people still today, probably when they hear that word green or sustainable, they say, oh, how much is it going to cost? I know green is going to cost more. I know sustainable is going to cost more. Is there a way? And you've shown in the one example you've given us that sustainability and green can be a strategy that actually returns a return on your investment. So in a variety of settings, from small to large, is that really the message that you're trying to get across?
Absolutely.
That it's not, don't think of it as a cost. Think of it as a strategy. Think of it as a differentiator. Think of it as a value add that can turn around and have lasting returns, which, just like an investment, it can pay dividends.
And not only does it save money, but it saves precious resources for the future. So, I mean, it really, we call it the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit.
Okay.
The old way of doing business was to make a profit. Well, that's not that challenging. The new challenge
Right.
is, how do you make money and also that you are doing something that's good for the planet and for people? So the triple bottom line. Well, to get back to your question about, the cost savings for meetings and events, with green meetings and events, there are many. I mean, first of all, we eliminate paper. So going digital with most of your communications and your handouts and things,
People can walk around and get the agenda on their iPad. They can do a lot of conference activities and distribution through their mobile devices. And with people walking around in smartphones and iPads, why do you have to print up all this stuff and then dump it in the dumpster after the conference?
Absolutely. And the other thing, is just think about water bottles and, having bulk containers. Don't have little individual water bottles, and, ask people to bring their water bottles. Almost everybody in America now has a water bottle of some sort. Come on.
Because
right?
somebody's giving you one.
If
If you've been to any meeting, I know I've got a closet full of them where people have given me these steel or aluminum bottles as giveaways, and so you got one.
Absolutely. So it's very simple. Bring your bottle, have your attendees bring the bottle, or offer bottles and have a bulk container. That's a very easy way to save money. I mean, green meetings are not more expensive. There is a business case here, and there's many different reports on conventions and conferences that have added money to their bottom line.
Well, I'm sure that with McCormick Place being one of the premier meeting and convention centers on the planet, that their management team, the folks from SMG, the folks from McPeer, I'm sure they will be participating in your conference, because these are benefits that could work right back into them adding to their bottom line by offering green strategies to the hundreds of meetings that pass through their walls every year.
Absolutely. And right after the GMIC conference, there's 2 other large sustainable conferences that are coming to McCormick Place this year. So
that are industry green related,
yes,
or are green by their plan?
Industry related.
And which
green.
ones are those?
I can't speak to both of the names,
all right,
but there's 2 other
Okay,
major
I know there's going to
sustainability
be
conferences.
a friend of ours from IIT who's involved in the solar and power industry. There's going to be a large solar conference coming. So there are always good things. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on the show today, Robin, is because this is a step to try to, so many Chicagoans have no clue about these different conferences and meetings. And the point that you made is so on time, where you said this meeting is open to anyone. People drive by McCormick Place every day, so I wonder what's going on in there, and just keep on driving. But if we know about these things, if we understand these things, so you have a way in which people can, what's the website they need to go to find out about the conference?
The website, you can either go to gmicglobal.org, that's our main website for the organization. You'll see information there about all of our chapters around the world, and right on the front page is information about the conference.
Okay, that's gmicglobal.org. .org.
That's correct.
Okay.
And when you get to the home page, you'll see that you can click through to, it's called sustainablemeetingsconference.com.
Okay.
The link is right there. And for anyone who's new and has never attended our conference before, we have a 20% discount
very
code
good.
available. So
All right.
people are able to come for a day if they like. You can look at the agenda, and if there's something really important that you want to see that we're going to be talking about that day, you can have a day pass.
Okay.
And the discount code for the day pass is 20 days.
Okay.
It's 20 DAYS, 20
All right.
days. And if someone's interested in coming for the entire conference, they can save 20%, which is $100 off on the entire conference. And I have to look at my cheater thing here.
That's right.
But the discount code for that is GMIC EB, like early bird, 13. So
Okay.
GMIC EB 13, and that'll save you 20% off the entire conference.
Well, that's very, very exciting. Now,
Yes.
now speak about the ongoing activity. You mentioned that there's a chapter here and there's ongoing dialogue. So they're meeting professionals like yourself that are talking about this green and sustainability on a regular basis. Are there quarterly meetings or certain things that go on locally throughout the year for people who want to tie into this green conversation for meeting planners and people involved with conferences and conventions and hosting events? Can they become a local chapter participant and talk with you and meet others in the profession?
Absolutely. The Chicago chapter, we have about 60 members, and we meet usually every 2 months. We have a program. Sometimes we have what we call a lunch and learn, or we'll have a breakfast and learn, and we'll bring speakers in from that are green event suppliers, leaders, people that are doing things that are, they're setting new standards. It's a wonderful way to exchange and meet other colleagues and people that are in the industry.
Okay, well, that's good to know about. And is there a separate website for the local chapter? Does the chapter have a website, or can they get to the chapter off of the national website?
Yes, they can go to the global website, gmicglobal.org, and click on chapters, and you can read all about the Chicago Midwest chapter.
Okay. Now, for people that might want to get out and is there still room on the bus for the Sustainable Bronzeville Tour? Do you think that there's still a chance if somebody wants to take advantage of that, they can be a part of that as well?
Yes, I believe there is, although I know the tour is very popular. Okay. It's one of our most popular tours that for during the conference period, and I know we have a lot of people already signed up for it, but we'll get 2 buses if need be.
Right.
Okay, Bruce?
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, you're a wonderful spokesman for this really, like you say, this isn't new. It's been around, but sometimes it seems it trends, it's up and down. But sustainability and green is a core strategy that can be deployed to really be a value proposition, really something that could make a difference, not only in how you're perceived by your clients and your customer base, but also it could have an ROI. It could have something that you start saying, wait a minute, now this meeting is making more economic sense because we're deploying these green strategies and it's starting to work out. So I'm delighted to have you make time available today for us to hear about this conference. And I certainly, we want to stay connected to this conversation because green and sustainability are often parts of conversations we have here at Technology Access Television. Well, if you would like to find out what's going on in this whole green world of planning meetings, and maybe you're involved with your nonprofit, church, organization, school, and you have different conferences and things like that, hey, you need to be thinking about how you can green up your efforts, because not only does it make sense for the world, like we talked about, a triple bottom line, but it makes sense for all of us to learn more and educate ourselves on ways of deploying green strategies in our daily living. I want to thank Robin Malpass for coming on. Thank you so much for being a guest today. And thank you for being a part and being considerate to want to learn and share and love and grow in information about living a better life, having more prosperity, leaving the world better than we found it. It is possible, and it's possible through education and through sharing information like we're doing right now. My name is Bruce Montgomery. We'll see you again on another edition of Technology Access Television.